We're now joined by Peter Carroll, who has been along for this entire ride for Conor McGregor. There's a couple of main points that really came out of that scrum yesterday. The first one we want to touch on is the fact that he wants to continue to have that Irish support. Certainly, there are questions: are the Irish fans going to come out like they did years previous? I mean, what are your thoughts on how he sits within his own country?
I think what happened at yesterday's press conference is going to go down a lot better. I feel like during the Khabib build-up, there was a lot of animosity there, and you can understand that a lot of ugly things were said, but I think people looking in, casual fans looking in from this in Ireland, would be very happy to see him being, on his best behaviour, complimenting his opponent. I think that would suit the Irish people a lot better,
Yeah, and what about the fact that, and this drew a lot of opinions, that he said, I haven't drank in a few months. I own a liquor company. I own Proper 12. I'm consistently promoting it throughout my social media channels and everything, but I have abstained from drinking, whereas last camp I was, having shots the week of. I mean, what can you take away from that?
Well, I think it was obvious, when you saw him in the build-up to that camp, he was bringing Proper 12 everywhere with him, and he was having celebratory shots left, right and centre, and that was a big red flag for me at the time. I think the guy we're seeing this time, I think we could all agree, is a different guy. I don't think I've ever seen him. He even looks fresher. Being in Ireland, you hear a lot about these camps, and we heard what was going on during Khabib's camp. This has been a lot better. Since 3 months ago, we're hearing he's in the gym twice a day. It's a far more regimented session. A lot of sparring partners brought in, new looks he was getting. So, yeah, I feel like it's a very different guy, and it's going to be I feel like it's going to be a very different performance. I really feel like we're going to see a very, very good version of Conor McGregor.
I mean, go ahead.
Do you feel like the last 15 months, especially, with everything that's gone on in his life, do you think he's been forced to look at himself in the mirror, Pete, because maybe the Irish fans above everybody else were starting to turn on him a little bit, and he's thought, you know what, I don't want to lose the support of my own people. I need to change it. I need to wake up.
I feel like when he was at the height of his power, I have never seen somebody raised up as the Irish identity, as the young people in Ireland. We were in a crippling recession, and here's this guy coming along, making his name in a sport nobody's really ever heard of in Ireland, and being the best in the world and taking on the world. My father would have said Italian 90 as a World Cup in soccer was the best summer of his life, and we only got to the quarter-final that year, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
This guy's going in and beating the champions, getting all these belts, and that was our generation sport moment, people of our age. So, I mean, you had tens of thousands of Irish people moving across the water. It could only go down from there. This has never happened before with any other sports star in Ireland, to move that many people, one guy. And, really, when you reach that crazy level, and no other UFC fighter has ever been at that level, what I mean? This guy's the biggest draw in the sport. You're going to have to come down a bit. It's going to have to wind down a little bit. I feel like last week, the buzz wasn't really there in Ireland, but I can see it now.
Interesting.
It's really picked up, it wasn't a promotional thing or anything like that. I just guess Conor's been kind of more conservative with his access. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff went out through the Mac Life only last week. But as soon as that stuff started coming out, John's interview, Conor's interview, all the talking points come out. Look, I know everything's put under the microscope, but those little things are what builds the interest. You know what I mean? People debating these things all over Ireland. And when you see people talking about these minute little details, you know it's going to be big. Everyone, no matter how they feel about him, in the lead up to this card, they're all watching on Saturday night, and it's his opportunity to win us all back again.
Will they all be supporting him though as well?
I think something primal inside Irish people. They might say at the start of the night, oh, I don't I'm just going to watch the fight because I watch it. But as soon as he gets in there, man, there's something inside them that's like, they have to go with it. And you see people in the crowd. I can remember a few times in Vegas, I'm looking into the crowd, and the fight hasn't even started. There's grown men crying in the crowd.
Yep.
There's Sinead O'Connor and just weeping. You're like, come on, lads, it's not that bad. But it is. It's we're hugely patriotic people, as is he, and I feel like we can see through a lot once we're getting the results, and he's going in there. He does a job against someone like a legend like Cerrone. I mean, I feel like it will win a lot of people back, and the behaviour. I mean, he's been exemplary all week, I feel.
He's grown up.
Yeah, and I feel like once he got the question about the allegations out of the way, it's really freed him up. You know what I mean? I felt like he needed to give the public a pound of flesh there. That's what they want to do. Just want to see you talking about this, and then we can all move on. And I've noticed that he's been a lot looser, a lot more calm, And yeah, I feel like it's going to be a really, really vintage performance on Saturday night. To be honest, the more I see him, the more I think it's going to be vintage McGregor.
Yep.
In terms of, the opponent for this one, why do you feel like Donald Cerrone is the right guy for him to face at this point? Because, it's almost like people are winning or he's winning people back because of how he has acted this week. There hasn't been animosity. There hasn't been things being thrown or no handshakes or pushes on stage or anything like that. So why do you believe that this is the right opponent to have at this time? Not just because of the fight, but because of everything that comes along with the fight.
Yeah, it's the right opponent in terms of they have a bit of history. Cowboy is a household name. It's not like he's fighting some nobody. Everybody knows who Cowboy is in Ireland. Everybody knows this guy's a legend. And it's also, look, you can't look past the style matchup here. Like we saw what Darren Till did. That's a pressure fighter with a big left hand. Conor McGregor is the quintessential pressure fighter with a big left hand. And there's also, like Donald even referenced it himself, people used to say on the big stage when it gets to the big spotlight, Cerrone is often folded. And McGregor invented the big spotlight.
Yeah, any bigger than this.
Nobody's a bigger
That
draw.
is so true.
You know what I mean? So I feel bad saying this because Cerrone's such a great fighter and a great ambassador for the UFC, but it does suit him. It's nearly like, it sounds disrespectful, it's nearly a tune-up fight, but a very high-stakes tune-up fight against a guy who has done it all, really, apart from get that belt around his waist.
Absolutely.
I would say that's a smidge disrespectful, but we'll let it slide.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I feel bad saying it's a tune-up fight, but I feel like when you look at the fights McGregor has had, like against Khabib, against Mayweather, like this isn't on that scale.
Sure,
like,
in terms of the spotlight and the
terms
pressure,
of-
absolutely.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, should McGregor walk out victorious, he can say, "Hey, I beat the guy who has the most wins in the
wins.
UFC, the most finishes, the most bonuses, the most head kick knockouts." That's still, quite the resume to defeat.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, it's going to be a great matchup as well. Like, the style matchup is going to be fantastic because Cerrone loves to strike. It's like the media are trying to convince Cerrone to take the guy down.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, I think the matchup is going to be fantastic. And when it does hit the ground, it's going to be very exciting too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I feel like Cerrone's a genius on the ground. But
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
you
underrated.
love that tension. Can you remember when Mendes took Conor down? It was like the lungs of the arena collapsed.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's just silent.
What's going to happen?
It can't end this way. Uh-huh.
Oh, Jesus. But like they're the moments he does. Like that's how much skin these people have in the game when this guy fights. And I feel like as we get towards it, more and more people are beginning to remember that kind of emotion,
Can I just ask you one thing before we sign off?
No.
You wearing makeup?
I am.
Because you
Let's
look
go for it.
beautiful.
Thanks
What a
very
lovely
much.
job
I
they've
know.
done there.
Oh, lads, I made
Gorgeous
Someone give you a
complexion.
smack?
No, I wish I had a cool story for it. But no, I basically creamed myself in front of about 80 people in Philadelphia airport. They all laughed at me.
Nice.
I had to pretend it was funny while I was nearly crying. And I broke my phone. All in the space of 3 seconds. So
Who did you get to do your makeup today?
I did it myself today.
Nice.
What do you think?
You know what? It takes a real man to admit that. I'm very proud of you.
But I went into a makeup shop in Vegas Strip the other day, and they all just kept on telling me to tell the story. So I was like, tell the story to one person, like, come on over here, tell her. Like, oh yeah. So yeah, every time they put me in these spots, bring me over to Vegas, I always end up making an example of myself. So I'm just trying to lock myself in a room and just go to bed every night.
Brilliant. Peter Carroll, MMA journalist by day, drag queen by night. This is our makeup.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a better sign up for that than thank you for
I'm
joining
very proud
us.
of it.